Yes, thank you, Steve. Um, I can imagine that Kloosterboer is not the first company that you think of when you are creating your list of container terminals in this world. Um, so our core business is actually warehousing and storing goods for different kind of customers. With the core business really being temperature controlled goods, and that can be either in a conventional warehouse or in a fully automated high bay warehouses. Um, so why would you start building a container terminal? Well, we are also facing containerization. A lot of the customers that we have start to let go of the conventional transport by sending ships filled with pallets and starting to make the change to containers. And we are not in a port or in a location where we have great container facilities. So then the next step is let's do it ourselves. Um, that was just a short introduction. So what I want to go through with you guys is the project that we did, our continuous improvements, and the factors that we think are needed at a terminal to make a project of this size a success. So we started off in April 2018 with the first brainstorms for our first phase, which would be the automated gate and the empty depot. And this was necessary because one of our biggest customers started sailing fully containerized in January of that same year. For the reefers, we had enough capacity to put them all in a plug, but for the empty containers, we were facing a lot of issues with storing them properly, making sure that we could PTI them all in time, and giving them out by gate. So we started brainstorming what would be a good solution. Of course, looking also at other terminals and hiring some consultants that could help us with this process. And we thought of a plan, started the procurement, and then in December the procurement was finished, and we started building. Eventually, we were finished in May 2019 with the building and all the testing of the automated gate and our empty depot, and the first phase was finished. So for the first phase, we had around a year turnaround time from the first idea until the product was delivered and live. At that time, we were still using our old TOS, and for the application that we needed it for, the old TOS was fine. It was an administrative program, and the volumes weren't that massive that we needed an automated terminal and all that stuff. But because that big customer decided to go towards a fully containerized line, and with that line also came other cargo, which was in containers, that was quite interesting for us. And that's when we actually decided, after a couple of brainstorm sessions in April 2018, to also start looking forward. What do we want to do in the future? Do we think containerized cargo is the future for Kloosterboer in Vlissingen? And maybe we can get new cargo from the containers that we will also receive waterside for our warehouses in Vlissingen. So we started a new phase, which is phase 2A, which consisted of 4 automated RTGs and a new TOS. Deciding that is quite a big thing. And when we started brainstorming in April 2018, we didn't know that it was going to be new RTGs. We didn't know it was going to be a new terminal operating system. We didn't know what we wanted. So that's when we hired some consultants to think with us what would be solutions. We have a small footprint here, so it's not like we have a massive amount of space and to put everything really separated from each other and to do a lot of things. So we needed to look at a really compact block of containers that could be automated, preferably, and picked up and delivered to our warehouse, because that's still our core business. So after a couple of brainstorm sessions, we decided up onto RTGs. And then the next question came, yeah, when we buy automated RTGs, we also need a new TOS, because our administrative package is not able to handle any type of flow that we would like to put through that RTG. So we put out tenders for both, and then in April 2019 we signed a contract with Koens, and in June 2019 we signed a contract with Nevis as our terminal operating system supplier. In September we started training. In September we also started testing and implementing. Civil works were done, and eventually in June 2020 we went live. So as you can see, the entire TOS project took about 13 or 14 months. So of course we started our tender a little bit before June. So let's say about May, April or May, in the beginning of April, and in June it was finished, and then June 2020 we went live. Yeah, no one could have thought before we started that it would go that fast, but with the help of Nevis, Koens, and Solid Port Solutions, our consultants, we made it happen. And yeah, we still think that's a pretty big achievement, and I think everyone in the team is very proud of that. What's next? Well, if we can grow a little bit more, we would like to add more RTGs, of course. But the main focus for now as a next project is autonomous transport. Currently, we are using terminal trucks, and next year we will start a pilot with Terberg as with their auto truck to see if we can automate that transport on our terminal as well. The catch we have with that is that because we have warehouses, we also need to bring containers to the warehouse. So it's not just horizontal transport from RTG to quay or from RTG to depot, but we also need to be able to dock the containers backwards towards the warehouse, make sure that they know when they can leave again, because you don't want a forklift or a guy still emptying the container when the terminal truck is picking it up and moving the container again. So there's quite some different and difficult things that we need to think about when doing that. So the end result is the picture that you see here. Like I said, we don't have a big footprint. We don't have a lot of space. Most of our space is occupied by the 13 big warehouses that we have. So what you see before you here is our 2 RTG blocks with 4 RTGs filled with reefer racks, so we can stack reefers 5 high, and they are fully automated, so they can pick up the container themselves. They can drop it down in the stack. Every reefer rack has a card swipe, so the driver gets out of his external truck or terminal truck, steps into a cabin on a safety mat, so he doesn't need to hold a button. He stands on a mat, and if he stands there, we know that he's safe, and then the crane can do his job fully automated. Continuous optimization. You can imagine that after 1 year, we are really just going live with the basics. So of course we have the automated cranes and we have a lot of automated processes, but we are not even close to where we want to get. And how do we do continuous optimization is really 2 key components. Keep looking at the operational processes and keep looking at technical improvements of the current system that we bought or the systems that we already had. Beginning for operational processes is, of course, the TOS training. I think the most important thing that you can have when you're implementing a new system is make sure that there's enough time for training your staff, because I think Mina already said it, you are going to reevaluate every process you have. If you have the idea that you can go live in your current situation when you are coming from a reach stack operation and going to a fully automated one, then I don't think it's worth to start anyway. You really need to see, okay, we have this brownfield terminal, but we don't have any processes, and then you start working from there. So TOS training is really important because all your current personnel needs to be able to understand these new processes, but also needs to know how to execute those processes in this new terminal operating system. We are also still working on configuration, and I think that never will stop. There's always new things or tweaks that you can add to your TOS configuration, which can make it a little bit more efficient or can change some processes just by simply adding a field, for example, so people will have more information. All these these little things, they will just continue coming. TOS functionality testing. we're also constantly testing with our key users and my colleague Roy new functionalities in the TOS. And Nevis is so big and it gives you so many possibilities to do literally whatever you want in a container environment. So we are still figuring out all the little functionalities, thinking about what functionalities we can use, and we are testing them towards our own operational processes. Next one's EDI. EDI is very important, of course. We are still expanding, so our biggest customers are we do full EDI with those, but we also want that for our trucking community or for smaller customers. And then finally, flow improvement. Never stop looking at your flow. So your process is never perfect. There's also always little tweaks that you can do. And with new technical improvements or new functionalities that you will receive from your TOS supplier, also your flow needs to be improved. Then finally, technical improvements. So make sure your crane systems are always up to date and you know exactly what you want. So ECS, BMS, CMS. Look at the crane sensors. Maybe something is causing a lot of issues like unnecessary collision detections. Maybe you need to adjust sensors or scanners. And of course, changes to the gate. Listen to your community. What are the issues that truck drivers are having at your gate? And change those things. So really help the community as well. And finally, the factors for success. Again, from signing the contracts to go live in 13 months. It can only be done, and that's maybe really cliche, by teamwork and effort. If you have people in your team that are not willing to take the effort or go the extra mile, then you won't be able to do it. Everybody needs to do their best, and everybody needs to, yeah, like I say, go the extra mile. Everybody needs to put in their full attention to make it work in this short time. Make sure that you also create a team. And by that, I mean, don't just do it at work, but now with COVID, it's hard, but go besides work, go to dinner with each other, have a drink, but just make sure that you really have a team building spirit and that everybody is willing to go for it. Second important thing is the company needs to be willing to invest and take risks. If your company isn't willing to invest and take a risk, then you don't have a project. And I think a huge risk Kloosterboer took is they choose a new RTG solution. We are the launching customer for the Koens auto RTGs. And as a small terminal, only buying 4 machines, it's a way safer option just to choose a thing that everybody else is already using. And we chose to do a different thing. Also surround yourself with knowledge. So use your local community that is affected by changes at your terminal, even if they have not a lot to do with your terminal. And invest in proper consultancy on all levels. I mean, more people know more. So it's no use to invest in a lot of consultants that you already have the knowledge for, but don't be afraid to hire people if you think that you don't have the knowledge. And prepare your organization. So inform the people in your place of work, even if they have nothing to do with the project. Train your staff properly, like I said before, and don't rush it. Give people the time. Not everybody is going as fast as you would like. Just give them the time and don't push them. And manage expectations. Because the first day of go live, it will never be fun. It's going to be very tough. I think that's it. So thank you for your time.